Hello everyone, I'm Jay Joshi and welcome to the 33rd episode of Learning Java. Today, we'll be learning about pass by value and pass by reference. So, what is this pass by value and pass by reference related to? So, this topic is mainly related to functions, mainly returning and calling functions. So, the values and the parameters using which we return and call functions. So to get into this topic, we first need to know how to pass and return arrays in functions. So let's have an array over here, integer array, int a is equal to 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma 5. These are the values of this integer array. Now I have this function, and this function returns an integer, and the parameter is, okay, we'll come to the parameter later. So I'll leave this void for now. So like how I did in the previous object function example, I want to have a function in which I have an array as a parameter and it returns an array. So how do we do that? It seems pretty simple. It's just like a normal variable, just a little bit of difference. So I have the object hello. So I'm just going to call it hello because it's a static public. Oh, I forgot to put static. So hello, and then I have as parameter this variable. So I won't obviously put the data type specifier because this has already been declared. So will I put a like this or will I put a without the square brackets? So this is an important concept in Java. So since this has already been declared as this array, whenever you're accessing it later on, let's say even if you're accessing the length of the array, you just put a dot length. You don't put a dot length, right? You don't put the square brackets. So after something has been declared with square brackets, so square brackets you use only when you're declaring. So once it's declared, you don't have to use the square brackets. So over here, the parameter is an array. And over here, I'm going to put the parameter. So will I put a over here or a with square brackets? Now, since I'm declaring a thing over here, I'm initializing or declaring the array over here, I will use square brackets to tell Java that this is not a variable, because if I put a as it is, it thinks it's a variable. So I need to put square brackets to tell that it's an array. And when returning, I have to return a. So will it be a or a with brackets? So like I said before, since it's already been declared, it'll just be return a, and this will work perfectly fine. So, and yeah, again, I have to put the return type as integer. Now this will perfectly work. And yeah, so what's the return type going to be? Look, it's showing me an error that I'm returning the value a, and it's giving me an error: incompatible types int array cannot be converted to integer. So how do we solve that problem? So to solve this problem, we don't use the square brackets over here because we are not declaring the thing. So, if let's say this a was just a normal integer variable, then I would put int as the return type. But since it's an array, I have to put these square brackets next to the int to specify to Java that I'm returning an integer array. So you have to put these square brackets next to the return type to specify that it's an array, not a normal variable, because this normal integer is just for a basic variable. So you have to put the square brackets to specify that you're returning an array. Now, you might ask a question, is this necessary? So what do I mean by is this necessary? So to understand that, we first need to know about pass by value and pass by reference. So first we need to understand this concept. So let me make this into a comment, and let's say I have a variable int 10. So I'm gonna make this into normal variable and this over here as a. So now this code is perfectly fine. So let me explain to understand pass by value first, what is happening in the compiler at this point. So when it comes to main, it declares and initializes int a is equal to 10. And then it calls the function hello. So I can have something like int x is equal to hello because it's returning a value. So int x is equal to hello of a. So the parameter value is 10. It comes over here, and when it comes over here, these two a's are not the same. I have mentioned this before as well. This is a very important concept. These two a's are not the same. That's why the compiler isn't throwing an error. These two a's are different variables. So, but their values are the same. So this has the value 10 and this has the value 10. So, and this a variable cannot be accessed over here in the main, and this a variable cannot be accessed over here. It's just that both the variables happen to have the same name, but they don't cross-link because they're not related to each other completely. And again, this return is just basic. There's nothing to explain in that. So what's happening is these two are variables are not the same. So the value of this a gets copied into another variable of the parameter. And this parameter can have any name, b, c. So let's say it has anything like that. So this value of a gets copied into this. And then again, if this is c, then this will also become c. So the value of a gets copied into this particular variable. I'll leave this a for now for better understanding. So when I'm performing any particular operation over here, a is equal to a into a, for example. So the value of a is 10 over here. And in this function, the value of a is going to become 100. So 10 into 10, 100. And then it's going to return the value 100. So x is going to store the value 100. So if I do system.out.println x, the output will be 100. So main class, and the output's 100. But if I do something like this, system.out.println a, what will be the value of a if I print the value of a? Because over here the value of a is 100. So if I do system.out.println a over here, the value of a will be 100. I'll leave this as a comment for now. So in the next output I'll show you. So I'm printing a inside the function. So the value of a inside the function is 100 and the value of x is 100. So what will be the value of a inside the main? So let's see what the value of a is. The value of a remains 10 inside the main method. So why is that so? So as I said, the value of a gets copied into this. So these two are not the same. This value, or the value of a, gets copied into the parameter variable, and whatever changes are made to this variable in the particular function, it doesn't alter the actual value. So it alters the copy. That's why whatever changes I'm making to this parameter variable, it doesn't get affected in the actual value of a. So the compiler acts on the copy of the variable, of the parameter variable. It doesn't perform operations on the actual variable, and thus the actual value of the variable does not change. And this is very useful in many cases. So the compiler acts on the copy of the variable, and this is what we call pass by value. So pass by value basically means that if we pass a variable or any literal, so this includes all the variables, okay, all the primitive data types, I should say. So if we pass any primitive data type as a parameter, the compiler acts on the copy of, it makes a copy of the parameter and it acts on the copy of the particular parameter, and it does not alter the actual value of the primitive data type. So this is what pass by value is. And this applies to all the primitive data types. So then you might ask, what is pass by reference? So you might guess correctly that pass by reference is when a copy of the parameter is not made. So whatever changes I make to a variable, so I'll tell you what it is. Whatever changes I make to that particular variable in the function, the changes are made to the actual variable. So what is this? So since it's not for primitive data types, what kinds of variables is this for? And this is for objects and arrays. So let me get rid of this. So let's say I have this array over here, and I'm doing something like hello over here, and control C, and I'm returning this particular integer. So let's say I'm not returning, let's say this is void only over here. Now I perform some particular operation, let's say a, so I have to put these brackets again, these square brackets. A of 2 is equal to let's say 10 over here. Now let's have a look at this code. So I'm declaring an array with the values 1 2 3 4 5, which has the length 5, and I'm calling the function hello, which doesn't return anything. Its return type is void. So these have the same name. So what Java does is, since it's an array, so this applies to arrays and objects, it's the same for arrays and objects. this value of a doesn't get copied into the variable a, into this new variable a. The same, so whatever changes, it doesn't make a copy, it just acts on the actual variable. So the name doesn't really matter. So when this array is passed into this parameter and I changed like the second variable, so 0 1 2, so I changed this 3 to a 10 over here. So the value of the second index of that particular array A gets changed in this particular function as well as the main. And this is called pass by reference. And this applies to arrays and objects. So the difference between pass by value and pass by reference is that in pass by value applies for primitive data types, pass by reference applies to arrays and objects. In pass by value, a copy of the parameter variable is made, and then whatever change is made to that parameter variable inside the function doesn't actually change the value of the actual variable. But in pass by reference for an array and object, whatever changes are made to an array or object inside a function, the changes actually get made for the actual variable in the main as well. So again, both of these have their own uses, and this is what is basically pass by value and pass by reference. So you can go try it out on your own, try it with primitive data types, try it with objects and arrays, and see how you can use it in your program codes. So that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. And if you have any queries, doubts, or suggestions, you can mail me. My email will be in the description down below. Thanks again for watching.